Alright, this next section is called Agents' Use of Implants to Cause Harm. So agents are taught to use these implants to scare and torture people. And one of the common ways they do this is by pressing their body's weight onto the implants while connected to you. So you will feel pressure and pain through the mutual implant. So if you are laying face down in a prone position and one of these scumbags begins pressing down on the implant in the back of your neck, you're going to feel all this weight on your trachea, which will affect your ability to inhale with ease. And I think agents are doing this by lying on their backs and then pushing all their weight on the implants in their hunchbacks. So they're pushing on their hunchbacks. And this causes the sensation that you cannot breathe with ease through your nose. So you will need to grab the implant back by shifting your body's weight onto it until you can pin it down, and then use your U-breath to pull it up and out. And I will go into full detail about how to do this in each area of your body in the following sections. Like I explained, military agents are linked to you to form these mutual implants. So as you remove the plasma out of yourself, you are also going to reduce the agent's power over you. And it's often going to be a fight, especially if you have an agent connected to you with an implant and they are pressing down on it. So press back and see how they like it. And often this will cause them pain and they will back off, and then you will be able to remove the implant more easily. So you're going to need to breathe as deeply as possible, realizing that the deeper you breathe, the more pull you will have to remove the implants while using the U-breath form. So because agents are causing pain to themselves to get to you, they are like voodoo dolls, and they will use the radio frequency connection between your implant and theirs to make things very uncomfortable for you in many ways. And this happens most often through these implants in your airway. So they will roll their bodies into balls and they will squeeze themselves. They will hold their breath. They will exhale when you are trying to inhale. They will inhale dust, drugs, or allergens to hurt their own airway and affect yours through the implants. Or if they have an implant in their leg, they will connect themselves to you to get a mutual implant to form in your leg. And then they'll wrap a chain around their leg or punch themselves in that location. And this will begin to hurt your leg until you remove the implant. Or if they have an implant in their lower back, they will connect themselves to you to get plasma to build up in that area to make walking painful or difficult. Then they will jerk themselves around, bend their bodies into weird angles, and attempt to screw with you, so you have trouble standing up straight or walking. So often people think that they have injured themselves, but they don't remember exactly injuring themselves. They don't know exactly how they have injured themselves. So they will say, I must have just pulled a muscle or a tendon. And as the implanting goes on and the plasma continues to build up, it will get worse and worse. So you must work to remove the implants and never let them build up in you. So agents will do all sorts of things to themselves to cause injury and pain in you. And when people don't understand what is happening, they often end up panicking and going hysterical. And if you lose your cool, it will only get worse. So the CIA is also known to use injured or handicapped people with implants to affect the same type of injury in you. And they do this by linking handicapped people to you. And they will do this in professional sports. And that is a way that they rig the game, by getting implants to form in certain players that are doing real good, and then they'll injure the players or they'll mess with them while they're at a big game or something. So all professional sports is rigged in this capacity. So if you ever feel discomfort in the area, it's due to an implant that is being formed in that area. So you must work to get the plasma out every day. Otherwise it will develop into something that could go on to cripple or kill you. So understand that the military prefers to link the worst people that they could find to strong people such as yourselves to eventually cause you problems. So they will link military personnel who are insane, addicted to drugs and alcohol, agents who smoke 3 packs a day, agents who are now handicapped, and most often, agents who are obese and have severe mental and physical health problems. And the military does this so you will begin to develop problems in your mind and body too, and cease to be a threat to them. So implants will build up in you, and then these agents can use these implants to drive you crazy, torture, and kill you. So use the techniques outlined in this report to keep your mind and your bodies free. Alright, this next section is called sensory nerve implants. So agents are taught to use these implants that are connected to the brainstem, as well as to sensory organs, to perceive and alter other people's senses. And this has to do with cranial nerves. And you can look them up, but to put it simply, cranial nerves have to do with how our minds perceive our body's senses, like sight, smell, taste, hearing, and balance. So to give you an example, after going running one day, I noticed a sharp taste in my mouth, and it tasted like nose spray at first. And when I got home and began to remove the implant around my sinus area, I found that the taste got stronger, and it was more like an aspirin or a painkiller. So I realized that they were linking an agent to me who had chewed or snorted the drug. And I could perceive the taste of what the agent had consumed through an implant that was connected to us both. And the implant was connected to my brainstem as well as my sinus area. So military agents can also play games through sensory implants, like with smells. So throughout life, I remember people asking, did you ever get a smell stuck in your head? And the reason this happens is due to an implant connected between you and another person who is usually an agent. And your brain is picking up what another person smells through this radio frequency link. And the military will use all of this for programming people. For example, every time the CIA wants you to think good thoughts about one of their agents walking by, they may accompany that agent's presence with a good smell, like the smell of a bakery or a perfume type smell. And they will use this tactic to confuse you, so you equate an agent's presence with something good. And they could also use smells to attempt to confuse or disturb you. So this is not a fun or a cute subject. These people are disgusting. So just get the implants out so they cannot play tricks or manipulate you. The military can also use an implant along the brainstem responsible for moving the tongue and speech patterns, so they could hear your pre-vocal thoughts. In other words, when you think of what you're going to say, a cranial nerve is used that will move your tongue and speech patterns so that you can communicate your thoughts. So an implant in this cranial nerve will allow an agent to move their tongue in sync with what you are thinking. So they are intercepting what you are thinking by speaking your pre-vocal thoughts. And they do this by moving their mouths silently in sync of what you are thinking to say. So often we will think to ourselves, okay, what do I have to do today? First I have to go to the post office. Then I have to buy a baseball glove for my kid, and etc. So an agent could read your mind through this implant and then know ahead of time where you are going, and then they could play all sorts of tricks on you by having their people waiting for you and knowing what you have planned to do that day. And last, I'll just tell you what happened to me concerning an implant that caused me to get numbness in my hands. But it seemed to only affect 2 fingers on each of my hands. And this got me a little nervous at first when I'd go out to the store and have the energy building up in me. And then my hands would start to get numb. But soon I realized that I was being connected to an agent who had some sort of nerve damage in his or her hands. Again, a lot of the mind control that causes panic and anxiety is caused by these agents who use these implants to manipulate their target through these neural connections. So it's best to ignore strange smells, strange thoughts, optic flashes, and little bits of pain like an insect biting your arm or a returning tickling sensation to your face. Alright, this next section is about pineal gland implants. The pineal gland is often called your third eye in meditation. It is also called your mind's eye, due to the fact that this is how your brain perceives images when your eyes are closed, such as when you were dreaming. When you get an implant on your pineal gland, the result can be a little alarming, because you will be able to see other people's optics or dreams when you close your eyes. And this could be a little alarming, especially because you will be linked to agents of the U.S. military and the Vatican. And this has happened to me about 3 or 4 different times. And I saw these chaotic scenes when I closed my eyes, as if I were watching a very grainy movie. To give you an idea, one of these visions took place in a desert wasteland, along a highway with thousands of rusted, abandoned cars. And black and white lines of what seemed to be electrical energy were being shot all over the place. And there were random scenes of violence and the macabre. So it was non-linear in that it did not line up with any type of plot. So I looked at this for about 10 or 20 seconds before realizing that it was a pineal gland implant. And I began to remove the implant while ignoring the evil vision. So it's best to get into a leaning prone position, so one of the sides of your face is pressed down against the surface, and then you use your body's weight to put pressure onto the center of your head, around the pineal gland area, and then you use the U-breath to pull the implant out. And after a little while, the strange optics will cease after about 5 or 10 minutes. So these pineal implants, of course, belong to very disturbed people. So you need to get these implants out as soon as possible and not allow them to set up a neural connection with you. So I would not recommend looking at this sort of thing. Furthermore, I believe this is how the military and Vatican agents spy on people or monitor their agents in the field, by linking to another person's mind in order to watch their optic perceptions. And they do this with implants that are connected to their pineal gland as well as to their optic cranial nerve.